Alright, so let's say you're having trouble with your Wii games loading up. Of course, number one thing, normally when you first start up your GX loader, you're going to be set with this as default sort of thing showing you. If you do want a different type of look and you go for the fan effect, these are going to show up missing. So what you'd end up doing is just press the number 1 button on there and it will say download all the covers, click OK. And go for there. You will have to have your Wii connected to the internet, so make sure you connect it to the internet. Alright, cancel that because I've already done it. Now the other issue you have, of course, you might come into some, and as soon as you come in, you go to bring up a game and it won't actually load. So I'm just going to show you a couple fixes. Initially, you can do each game individually. If you find that most of it works on the settings and the odd game that's not working, well then you can just go directly into its settings, go up to its load, and then you'd want to go under here. Normally it's your video mode and your aspect ratio that needs to be changed. So normally if you find they're not loading, just the odd one, once you've got it installed, they're all loading except the odd couple. Just go for your video modes. You'll see here you got system default, disk default, force power. The best ones I've actually found, if you do have troubles, normally you'll get troubles with the likes of Call of Duty, especially Call of Duty Black Ops and Modern Warfare 3, I think it is. Now you've also got Wii Sports Resort and Wii Sports. Sometimes Wii Sports will be fine and Resort won't be. Now all you've got to do is come up into the video mode. Initially I've found, I've had good luck with putting it to force NTSC and go aspect ratio, force 4.3. But the one that I've found the most best way of doing it is actually to put it on disk default and at 4.3. But what I've actually done, I'll show you this here. I'll put this back to global. I've actually already done that in your main settings. As I say, this is just singly for each game. Now let's say you've gone for each one of them. I mean, yes, it's going to be a problem. It's going to take a while. As I say, if you find it's just the odd game, well then you're going to have to, just on the odd game, you're going to have to go through this. And of course you might click it once over to the system default, go to play the game, and it doesn't load. So it's disk read error, or comes up with a black screen. So you need to turn your Wii off, turn it back on, come back into this GX loader, and then flick this over to disk default. Then try again. That doesn't work, then fit it onto NTSC and try again. If that doesn't work, go back to your first one, system default, then come down here, change that to 4.3, and then try again. Again, if you get a read error or disk read error or black screen, turn it off, turn it back on, come back, try disk default at 4.3, and then after that, go to your NTSC at 4.3. So it's only some games you're going to find this problem with. We're just going to go back out of here. I'm just going to show you. Now this here is your main settings. So of course that one has showed you individual settings for each game. Each time you click on a game, you've got the settings option. So you can fine tune them to start. But I'll show you the best option I've actually found. If you go into your main loader settings, and this is for the whole lot, I actually put video mode on disk default, aspect ratio 4.3, and then you actually find that 90% of them are going to work for you. I'll just show you all the settings I've got here, because it can be frustrating. I know, turning the Wii off, turning it back on, everything like that. So if you set your settings to this, you should be pretty much alright. Then you got your Nintendo settings for when you're doing the like Nintendo GameCube, etc. Now, I'll just show you another thing that's quite important on your settings. And here on your hard drive settings, initially, if you still if you find you've set it up and you find that the games and on those settings I showed you, the games aren't loading, there's two options for it. Number one, what I'll try first is actually come into your features. You'll see up here titles from game TDB. Well, of course, that's what you if you're using your laptop to get to sort it out, to be able to actually put on that program. Of course, titles from TDB. So we've got that in the loader. That's just so it loads up from your actual, from the loader itself. If you come down here, force titles from disk. That can sometimes, if you had it on all these settings and all of a sudden it wasn't loading, just change it to force titles from disk and see what happens. But initially, because we're storing our games, this is just so you can get away with not using your CDs, no scratches, no fingerprints from your kids, things like that. So of course, I seem to find that it's best to actually have that one. You can't have both going at the same time. You can only have one or the other. So I normally turn force titles from disk off and force the titles from here. And I'll show you why. And that's because over here, if you go to custom paths, initially if this isn't set up, it's another thing you want to set up. So you'll see here I've got everything. All the paths are going to USB loader GX. And just before we were looking at title load. Go back again, show you. Alright, titles from game TDB. So we're going over here. Custom paths. So titles. And there we go. We've got the titles and the USB loader GX. So it seems to be the best settings to go for. So just set up everything like this. Let's go through this. You can pause it and slide it down, do whatever you need to do. Now the other option as well, you notice here it says main GameCube path USB 1. And then of course if we actually go back here, that's for Nintendo Note. Of course Nintendo loader path, that's just asking you where to load Nintendo from. So you'd be going into your settings, and of course you'd be telling it where your Nintendo is, which in most people's cases it's going to be on the SD card. So you go into your SD card, you'd go into apps, and then you go right down to Nintendo, and you click on that, boom, and then go OK. I'll say path change, yep. So of course that's what you want your Nintendo loader. Main GameCube, of course that's where you're going to have your GameCube games on your USB 1. I have had troubles trying to, on the SD cards, trying to load the games from SD. Seems to have a bit of issues trying to do that. But you can change this path to load from SD card. Initially my SD cards are probably a bit big, that may be why it's not reading. But initially you're best to put them on the USB. Now you'll see here it says USB 1. Now at the moment we're actually running everything on, we've got it as USB 0. We'll see here, which of course is your very first port on your Wii. Remember that's something that the closest port to the edge. That's where you want your USB plugged into, and your port on the inner side. That one there is for the likes of, you can put in a PlayStation 3 controller off the USB, and then that way you can use that controller for playing your GameCube games. Alright, if you do find that your GameCube games aren't loading, as I said back there, you'll notice, you notice it said that the loader path is USB 1. At the moment, you can see we haven't got USB 1 written there, we've got USB 0. So you'd want to change that to USB 1 if you're having troubles. But then if you do that, you may end up having troubles with the Wii games that you've got on. Just how we play with it, see what works best. If it works for all of them on USB 0, that's fine. The problem is we can't select USB 0 back on that loader path for Nintendo. So you may have to change that to USB 1 if you've got any issues with your Nintendo not loading. Okay, what else we got here? Oh, we've been through the loader. Been through the features. Yeah, we've done all that. Boom. What other ones do we need? Alright. Custom pass, we went through that whole list. Yeah. Of course, that's another thing. Your GameCube path, you should have a file if you've made it properly on your SD card called Games. The same thing. I mean, it's the same for your actual USB, as to have it as Games. Now, find the best way to set up your USB. You'll notice you've got the Wii Manager, which brings up a list of your games and that. What have we got here? Right, so basically on those settings you should be fine. So why don't we go into here and just see if we can start up a game. Now this was actually a game that wasn't loading. So let's make sure I've got everything set back. Now initially, after all them settings are done, if you find that you're still having issues, there's still something wrong, games aren't loading, just double check that you've installed everything properly with the d2x downloader. Downloading your iOSs, make sure you've done that properly. If you have done it all properly and you've got issues, you can come down to here. It's only going to be on very certain games, and of course you can change the game iOS. So -1 goes to default what we set it back on the home page. So if you want to, when you've done your d2x2 downloading, your COS to 249 and 250, depending on what you've done, you might have have installed 222, 224, the Hermes, and then you want the 1 Eco, which is your 249, 250, 251. COS. You may be a bit confused what I'm talking about, but you won't be if you've actually been into the d2x2 and put your iOSs in. Make sure you're on the internet when you do it. You want to download it from the internet so you get it all stable. You don't want corrupted files or anything. But anyway, so let's say you had everything set and everything's loading at 250 or 249, and certain games, no matter what you do, they're just not loading. What you do is come into here, you clear that, and you tell this game specifically, you'll see beforehand my loaders, if you're a ones video to the start, they're loading at 249 and the game's 249. So if this game was having issues, remember we've got 249, we've got 250, we've got 251. There's different answers. So we could go 250, go OK, then go save, then OK again, and then back, and just give that a go. If that doesn't work, try it at 251. That's if you've put in a CLS on 251. Now, initially, we're just going to clear that, go back to 1. I'm just going to try this game. Actually, this game did have issues a while back. So let's just see if that loads the new settings. Now, of course, you notice those settings. Remember, we had disk. We put them at disk default for the loading, and we put it at 4.3. Well, now this game is loading, no problem. And beforehand, I had a black screen coming up, disk read error. So, as I say, just go into your loader path. Make sure you've got that as disk default, and then set the aspect ratio to 4.3. Should sort out most of your problems. Right. Right, see here, all loading fine. Right, so just a quick recap again. I'll just quickly show you those settings. Oh, another thing, if you find that when you turn it on, your game's not loading here, what you want to do is come down to this setting and just say Wii games. If you've got GameCube games on your USB as well, or SD, you want to click GameCube games as well. I mean, I'll click that. I haven't actually got the GameCube games on here, so it's not going to make any difference. But yeah, we'll just turn it off actually. There's none on that USB. So, things you want to check. What else? So yeah, basically we're in here. You'll notice this here is looking a bit different than the normal USB loader GX. This is actually USB loader GX mod. This is just easier one. It can actually load up your GameCube separately. GameCube can bring up WiiWare, GameCube, and then normal Wii, which we're dealing with normal Wii at the moment. Right, so just remember here, settings, quickly go over it again. GUI, you can look at that, nothing's really been changed there. Loader, that's the main one. Okay, as I say, you want this default or NTSC, and you want aspect ratio 4.3. And I've got a widescreen, it's a 16.9 TV, and at the 4.3 setting aspect ratio, the games are loading, and I've still got full screen, so it's not an issue. We'll get in here, iOS 249, loader iOS 249. Now again, this is dependent on what you've actually done with the D2X, what you've installed on what. You may find that your loader iOS and your game iOS are 250 and 250. But anyway, let's go up to, right, this is normally a game that won't load straight out off the back. So we're just going to here, just make sure there's no settings changed in here. Just default, yes, look, I've already changed it all here, so let's just put this on use global. Now I've changed the settings, and we'll go use global, save. Okay, just make sure the iOS wasn't changed. There you see there, game iOS 249. What we're going to do is clear that, even though it is game iOS 249, it's starting off again. We're just going to go -1, just so it's doing exactly what we set the main settings to. Alright, I'll go back out of here. And what normally happens with Black Ops, a couple of the Call of Duties. Alright, so we've got this part that loads. Okay, sometimes you won't even get this part, and that's, as I say, change that setting to this default, and the aspect to 4.3 should solve all your issues. If you do find you still got issues, there is a WAD file that has a whole heap of different WADs you can install. I'll show you shortly about that. Initially, you have to do your own research. I can't show you where to go find it, but you just look up WAD files for the Wii and download them, and they should be patches for things. Now you'll see here, game has actually locked up. This is what normally happens. So with Black Ops, you'll see there the loading bar. So we've got for the first part of loading, we get to that and it freezes. Okay. So what you're going to have to do is turn the Wii off, turn it back on. Now the fix for this game, there's one of two options. Okay, we're going to go in and we're going to change the settings to an NTSC, see what happens, and see if it loads that way. We'll also try system default, see if it happens that way. And if we've still got no luck, then we're going to be changing the iOS, and we'll be making the iOS load from 250 or 251. Alright, so let's see, well, you've done the homebrew channel, and you want to make sure you've done the right thing with the d2x iOS to put in your iOS's, which iOS is your operating system. That's all it stands for. Now where are we? Show you in here. There's d2x, right. So another thing too, with your apps folders and that, you can download the CIS 222 installer v5 page to install that. When you do install that, once you click on there, it'll tell you, like where you want to install it, etc. It'll give you, you have to select an iOS. Make sure if the 222 that you select iOS 236 to install it in, and well, you'll select iOS 236, sorry, as the load up the load up of it, and you're installing it to 224, and then after that you'd select number 37, and then you're finished with the installation of that one. But as it goes for your D2X, let's see. So if you're in here, I'll just click on it. We'll just go, and I won't change anything because I don't really want to change anything on mine once set right. So this looks a bit friggy for someone that doesn't know what they're doing. Initially, you know, if you're just learning, well, you don't want to muck this up. Alright, you'll see there, you get to select your IOS at the top. Okay, so I've found the best settings. Initially, I've tried quite a few different ones out there. But, you know, I'm about to tell you the settings that I've found that work the best. You know, initially I've gone right through and done a list. You know, I mean, you can put number 56. I use the D2X, the final one, the last one, vid 52 right at the end, and then you'd put the base at 56 and your IOS at 245. Your next one would be 38, 246, 65535. Your next one would be base 57, CIOS 247, 65535, and then you have another one, base at 38, IOS 249 and 65535, and also base 37 at 248, 65535. So that is one option, but don't do that one first. Try the simplest version first. If it works for you, you don't have to worry about adding all these other ones. As I say, you can get a WAD folder that's going to take care of most things for you when you download the extra WADs that you needed. Sometimes they are needed for the likes of that Spec Ops one that didn't load just before. The Call of Duty. We've got all of them loading except for that Call of Duty one. The Spec Ops. Right, so the main settings. What you actually want to do is go up to the top there. Okay, and what you want to do is change that top one. Go to beta 53. And then you want to go here. Do that to 56. And then you want to leave that at 249 and leave that at 21010. Press A, and then once it shows up the grid or where it's installing, just press A again. Don't touch anything else, and it will just auto install. And as I said before, make sure you are connected to the internet first on this. Right, straight after that's installed, you'll press A as a continue. It'll bring you straight back to the screen. Right, then what you want to be doing is selecting beta 52. And this time you want to be putting in 57, and you want to be making that 250. And then of course for your iOS version you'd be making that 65535. Press A again, let that install, and press A will bring you back to this page again. Initially with those two I've just given you, you should be pretty fine. Now if you do want an extra one there, you can also put go base 38. So keep it at the beta 52. Go base 58. Base 38. And you'd want to install that in where are we? 251. That's if we've done things in the way we've just done it before. But as I say, try the first two first and then see how you go after games. Right, so that's basically that's covered that part of it for you. So we're just going to exit out of here because I actually don't want to. I don't want to be changing anything. Mine's all set ready. But you'll see what I mean when you get into it, and you put those settings in. After you've done that, you should be pretty good. Where are we? So this is another thing. You want your WAD manager. So you got 13.4 WAD manager there, multi-mod manager. Either one's good. Doesn't really matter which one you go for. They're all the same. Well, within reason, but they're going to give you the same outcome you're wanting. Another thing, a lot of people say here, don't do this if you've got a Wii Motion Plus, blah blah blah. Initially, I haven't found that an issue on this part of it. With a Motion Plus controller, where I have found the issue is when you're actually installing the homebrew channel, and it comes to the option to press 1, and you can't press 1. So if you come across that, that's possibly going to be if you've got a Motion Plus controller. So get yourself a standard controller for setting up the homebrew channel. I mean, I'm using a Motion Plus here. Oh, get the light on. So you see here, this is Motion Plus, and there's no issues with doing it here. So what we want to do is go into the WAD manager. Just turn it back off for you, right. Go back into the WAD manager here. Bam. And then we go down to WADs. Bam. Right. Now initially, of course, these aren't going to be on your SD card automatically. It's something you've got to get online. So as I say, just look for the WAD download folder for the Wii, and this will give you all the WADs. If you're having troubles with it, like I say, with the Black Ops, certain games. Initially, I've got all of them working apart from that game, that one bloody game. Normally, if you're using WeFlow, you can load up Spec Ops and Modern Warfare 3 and all that using the 224 download OS, and it will load no problem. But getting the d2x to load it, I mean the GX loader to load 224, it won't actually do it because GX loader won't run on 224. WeFlow will. But yeah, so anyway, but these are all the WADs files that you want. So make sure when you go online that you found a file that gives you all these WAD files. And what you do is just do a batch install. So you'd press plus, or if you haven't installed any WADs yet, just press number 1. It will highlight the whole lot of them, and then it will do a whole install. Of course, I'll show you here. Batch install just means like we'll press plus. It means we want that one. Okay, plus we want that one. We want that one. You know, etc., etc. Initially, we don't need it. I mean, we've already got. So you'll see there 249s on 56. Which is what I just gave you before, and the 250 is on 57, which we just did that before. Notice there 248, they've actually got 38 on 222, so that might be another option too. Put that one in. But basically, you can see there from your WAD files what you got there. 251 is at 58. Okay, so now let's get back to the Spec Ops, see what happens. Actually, 251 is 58. Oh, I see there. 246 is 38. See the earlier on when I said about the 251 at 38, I'd actually see you got your WADs there. So I actually do it the other way. I'd go 251 at 58. Exactly what they've got here on this one. So you may not need that one yet, but if it does come to it, these should fix all your problems. And yeah. So hopefully this all helps with you all. I will quickly go into the Spec Ops. We'll just quickly try a few settings on that. If none of those settings work, we are going to have to put in our WAD files here, or do a load directly through the d2x. Initially, I'd actually advise doing the d2x. These WADs, it's awesome. It's going to fix your problems. The problem I had for my nieces, they ended up pressing the red reset button on the Wii. The normal reset button, sorry, and for some weird reason, it actually eliminated these WADs. It didn't eliminate the normal ones done through the d2x, the actual proper ISOs have been changed over the net, but these, for some weird reason, with the WAD folders, straight after reset was pressed, the kids couldn't load up the games. So I found I actually had to put them in always manually through d2x, which you can do that too. I mean, you'll see here. And yeah, if you don't want to download all these WAD files, just go into your d2x downloader while you're online, and you'll see there, that's d2x v8 final WAD. So you'd be going to the d2x, and then you'd be going to the beta 52, I think it was 50, right at the end anyway, the last one. Final one for it, and just select each one of them. So you'd go, base 55, iOS 248, base 56, 249, just install them all manually, and then that way they're in there, and you don't have to worry about anyone pressing reset and it all going to shit. Alright, so hopefully that helps. What we'll do, we'll just go out of here. Alright, so we want to exit. Well, actually, hang on a minute, I'll just show you something quickly, just in case we went through this a bit fast before. Go into your vids. Alright, so these are basically all your settings you want for your iOS's. Those ones here are probably brilliant to do through the vid folder. These ones here you can do through d2x. Where are we? So you won't be able to do those ones through d2x, but here. So 245 onwards, you can do all through d2x. Alright, so you've seen before Call of Duty didn't work. The Black Ops, and this one here does, loads up no problem. So just make sure none of those settings have been changed in here. Yeah, back. Download. Alright, so at the moment we've got it set as just default main system. So what we're actually going to do, this is Power 60 TV, but we're just going to do force NTSC, and we'll just save that. Yep, and then we'll go back. Alright, we'll just try again. We'll see what happens. Okay, so we've got the first part of the loader fine. Alright, back stuck on the loading page again. So now we'll try the other setting. Alright, so we're back in here again. Okay, now this time it's going to go system default and just see what happens. Alright, let's see how she starts up. So initially we've got this part's all fine. So I mean it's quite possible the loading screen out it's getting stuck on loading. It's actually because of the loader. At the moment we're loading through 249. So as I say, that could be the issue. We may have to put this game through iOS 250 or 251. So we'll just see how we go here. Right, so that should have loaded. Yeah, by now that should have gone. So we've still got an issue there. So back into it again. Alright, so we've just tried each setting. I've tried each one of these. I don't worry about recording it. Yeah, we are just going to go system default here. This one here, same system default. We'll save it. This is the last one to try. Initially one of these options before gave me a black screen as well, so it got rid of all the loading altogether. So I'd say what the actual problem is here, we need the iOS to be a different iOS to load off. So what we'll do is go back here. We're just going to try this setting first, the very last one to try. Alright, so we've got the loader back. Is it going to freeze at the loading? Okay. So if that gets to about, 5, 6 of those things flashing, it's not going to load. See, right now, that to me, that's not going to load. Okay, it should have loaded by now. So if you find it still doing that to you, doing this loading thing with the 3 dots. So what we're actually going to do is go in and change the IOS, change it to either load up with the 250 or 251. Initially 251 with IOS with base 58 and it should actually work. But I've got base 38 in my one at the moment, so it's going to be changed around. Yeah, so I mean, occasionally you're going to get the odd one that you're going to have to change the IOS. Normally it's Call of Duty. Sometimes you do get with K-Bellas, some of the hunting games, but normally they're fixed with changing the loader system to load with the 4.3 and either load it with NTSC or load it with this default. Resort, Wii Fit, Wii Sports, all of them, they get fixed with the load with 4.3 on the this default. Or you can put it as NTSC and it normally fixes the problem with that game or that game. Or okay, here are we? Oh yeah, here, or Wii Sports. See, at first with the Wii Sports, when I'd first had this problem, I was copying my Wii Sports CD, and of course I actually recopied it again. I just thought there must have been corruption with the when it was copying it, but it's nothing to do with corrupted files. So when you copy your CDs, it's normally not the issue there. It's normally within this loader or within your IOSs. Okay, so we'll go back to this one. Call of Duty again. Settings, game load. Okay, we're going to go back to this default. We're going to set this to 4. Well, actually, we don't have to use global because it's already set at 4.3. And actually, so is that. So let's just put this back to global as well. And what we're going to do here, we're going to change the loader. Game IOS. At the moment, it's loading on 249. We're going to clear that. We're going to tell it to load at 250. And then we're going to give that another go. Boom. 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 Alright, so we're either going to get it fixed or we're going to get a black screen, and actually it looks like we're going to get the black screen, so it doesn't like loading off that loader. Yep. Alright, and you'll see here, so before we had a better chance of it loading, and it just wouldn't get it past it. Normally it can be fixed with the WAD download, so those folders I showed you in the WADs, download them, which we're going to do shortly, just to see if it fixes it. I just want to try these IOSs first just to see. Alright, so see here, I've just quickly gone into the WAD folder that I showed you just before. As I said, the d2x way is better, but this just quickly to show you. So I'll just quickly put it on this way. So the other ones we're going to quickly put on. We've already got the 250 and 249 and all that, so I'm just going to click this. 5 did not complete. Oh, make sure you select that you're in iOS 249 as well. So I'll get out of here. Right, so on your front page, you'll see here at the bottom here, it's loaded up the iOS 58, which we're using. You want to change that, make that iOS 249. Bang, because that's what we're running on, and then bang all them in there. So 249, bang, reloading to iOS 249. Then we'll go to WAD Manager. WADs. Alright, this one's still that one. Oh Actually, let's just put the whole lot on, even though we've already got the other ones. It was right over top, just to show you. Oh, back. Yeah. And of course, these next two, we've already got them. But what the hell? Let's just put them on there. Okay. You press A. Initially, if you haven't got all the rest of them, put them on as well. I'm just showing you something here quickly. Right. Alright, then you get the completed. So just press any button to continue. Then you want to back out of here. So we want to go back, and we want to exit, press the home button. Exit out of there. Right, now what we're going to do is just quickly try the Call of Duty Black Ops. So go into settings again, game load. Right, we've got it loading at 251. So actually we'll just exit out of there, let's give it a go, see what happens. No, didn't like it. Alright, and of course 251 wasn't going to work because you noticed before we actually installed those WADs of all the different ISOs in 249. So started back up in 249, now we get this error. Right, so just going back in after putting those, and this will happen sometimes too, I don't know why it happens, but sometimes when you install those WADs, all of a sudden you'll find, you know, sometimes it doesn't fix it. And put it this way, now all the games that I had working, see, the only thing that wasn't was the Black Ops Call of Duty. Now no games are actually loading on those settings. So what we're actually going to do, we're going to come to the d2x, and you'll notice before we put all them WADs on 249. So what we're actually going to do now is we're actually going to do them separately. So we're going to go into the d2x, and then we're going to install each one individually. None of this WADs are on the 249. So yeah, we'll be going the beta 52 for 37 at 245, then 38 at 246, 53 at 247, base 55 at 248, base 56 at 249, base 57 at 250. And of course the base 56 at 249, make the revision 21010, and at beta 53, and then when you're doing the next one, do beta 52, base 57 at 250, and do the 65535 revision. So we're going to pull them back in individually, and then so I'll pause it here and I'll get back to you at the end of the installs. The installs do take a while. As you can see, this video I showed you a few things and a few faults, and we're nearly an hour into it. So you notice this isn't a 10-minute job, it's not a 5-minute job, it's something that's going to take you a while to get right. And yeah, I mean, there's time involved before you download it, waiting for everything to load all the time. So I'll be back in a sec. We'll just quickly put all these different IOSs back in individually, and then we'll go back in and see how our games are going again.